Welcome to the Art of Pilates. I'm Louise Taube, principal trainer. I am a studio owner and a Pilates teacher, and I train teachers as well. If you'd like to connect with me, you can visit my website for teachers at taubepilates.com. If you're wanting to check out my studio, it's louisetaubepilates.com. And if there's a topic on the podcast that you'd love to hear about, please let me know. Recorded live from the Pilates Journal Expo 2026. Today, I'm talking with Amanda Erlank. She's a holistic movement specialist, Franklin Method educator, diploma shiatsu and oriental therapies, diploma professional Pilates instruction with Polestar Australia, and is an educator with them. Her passion is helping people move from pain and immobility to fluidity and freedom.
Hi, everyone. We're here at the Pilates Journal Expo, and I'm here with Amanda Erlank, and I'm so excited. So thank you so much for accepting to do an interview with me.
I love it. Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. You never say no to an invite.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got a few questions for you. So first of all, so you describe the body as an interconnected creation of sheer brilliance. Can you unpack what that means in your work with clients?
Let's go. Yes. Well, I believe that the body is pure brilliance. It's magical. I think the way we use it is not magical. So if I'm with a client, I'm always helping them to understand their body and the perfect design that was there. Often people will come in with issues, as is the norm in a therapeutic or clinical setting. And it's about re-educating the body, but also the person, how to use that body correctly again.
Yeah, there's a lot of mental headspace, head talk that can go on to really make people think that their body's no good. But really, it is quite brilliant. And just like when you think of bones, how bones remodel themselves to the stresses that are put under them, like that's brilliant. Like you couldn't engineer anything even like that. So,
well, I think also if you think about people that are having hip replacements, knee replacements, shoulder replacements, those kind of things, how far or how long has it taken us to understand how to create that joint to be able to replace it? It's still not working the way the perfect design was. So, I take my hat off to surgeons, because when you get the opportunity, if you choose to look at below the skin surface of a human body, and you see the bones, the tendons, the ligaments, the fascia, the muscles, all of it interconnected. I mean, we can't even separate muscles out. All of this talk about let's just fire the glutes, or you've just got to work your gluten and meat. It's like, it's rubbish. You can't. Yeah. Everything plays. It's like a symphony.
Yeah, because you've actually seen a cadaver.
Yeah.
You've actually, did you?
Cut it open. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, more than once.
Oh my God.
And I think that takes my understanding to a whole new level of how the body moves and how it's created. I know we're going to talk about this in a moment as well, but the Franklin method really upscaled me from a fairly young instructor as to how to move the body well. But then the cadaver dissections are just the next level. So then you can see the interrelationship, you can see the weaving, you can see how, everyone wants to talk about muscles and bones, but you've got like 3 to 4 layers to get down through the body before you even touch a muscle.
Oh my God.
So, here, can you hear? This is the sheer brilliance of who we are. And then I love to share that with clients. And I think that's one of my selling points, is that when people come to me, it's usually I'm the last person they've tried.
Yeah.
And they all say, why did I not come sooner?
Yeah, it's interesting how people go through so many places until they're meeting the right person for what they need.
Yeah.
So you often talk about tracing pain back to its root cause. What are some common root causes people might not expect?
Well, I think if you take a client for the first time and you ask them to fill out their history,
yeah,
they're going to remember the things that were important. And then maybe during that first session or 3 sessions down, they're going to go, oh my gosh, I've, sprained my ankle when I was 13 playing whatever.
Yeah.
So they forget where these little trauma knocks could have happened from. And the way we work is we unravel the body. So the way you are today, I know the information you've shared with me. And then as soon as you get triggered to tell me more, I can explore more. But during the moving of Pilates, we start to unravel the body. It's like taking Christmas lights and sort of, pulling them apart a little bit, or a ball of wool or something like that, where you get a little bit knotted and you've got to go to a different place.
Yeah.
So I think for most people, they forget where they've been and where their body has been.
Because even like an ankle injury, that can have you hobbling.
Yeah.
And then that can change the muscles lines through the spine. So
everything is affected by everything else. And I think that's why, the use of holistic in my language of working with the body is you've got to take a look at absolutely every element to it. So I think for most people, again, where your question went back to, where are some of the common chronic pain sources, it will be from things that they can't remember that then get triggered from moving.
Yeah.
Often it will be from an injury that they've had, but I think most of all comes from breath and holding emotion. So we are in such a privileged profession to work with bodies. I always say that our business is moving people. But when you move somebody, you don't move them just physically. You move them spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally. You know how many times I've cried with clients because suddenly something's clicked in them or a release has happened.
Oh, wow.
Or the number of times the clients cry simply from doing a bridge because that access, so we may talk about this, but the meridian points on the back of the spine hold the emotions of every organ. So when you're doing a bridge and you're coming down from things, whether someone's had chronic pain there before and now suddenly has the awareness of, oh my gosh, I can move and I feel safe. That's a trigger to the nervous system that just completely shifts everything they've ever believed.
Such a release.
Yeah,
which goes to my next question, which is how do breath flow, mindset, biomechanics, and meridians all influence each other in your holistic framework?
Yes.
You've just sort of like explained it already, how it all kind of interconnects, like everything comes together.
Well, it does. I mean, we are a holistic being. Like you cannot separate our parts from each other. So what I love about the meridian work is that, it interweaves with everything. It is, I think I described it as our body, our framework, our skeleton is like the chassis of a car.
Yeah.
The biomechanics are the nuts and the bolts of where everything is connected to everything else.
Yeah.
The breath work and the meridians, the two together, in my opinion, are kind of like the fuel that drive the car.
Yeah.
If you don't have those two sorted, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The meridians are kind of like an anonymous player because you can't see a meridian, but you can feel the energy of the meridian.
Wow. And for someone who's stuck in chronic pain, where can you start? Like, where do you start with someone who's in so much pain?
I'd love to give a one-word answer,
Yeah.
and I can give a one-word answer, but each person is different. So where is their pain coming from is the first conversation you have to have with that client. Because is it a physical pain? Because I say no, there's always an emotion attached to that pain. And that emotion could be from a traumatic experience of having a fall or a break or something in what creates that pain. It could be in a stress-related thing. It could be, emotional trauma from something else that the body is just holding and creating protection, which looks like chronic pain. You know how many people are in chronic pain and have a scan and there's absolutely nothing wrong with them?
Oh my God.
So you've got to have that conversation. And when I have a first intake with a client, I have a conversation with them for an hour. I want to hear the emotion. I want to know the family history of I'm fighting with my brother or my uncle or whatever it is, because that's the link. That's where we go.
Yeah.
And then we go to the mind and we're like, okay, so what do you believe about that? And that word belief is huge.
Oh, absolutely. Like if you believe that you can heal your body, then you can find healing as well. But if you believe that you're going to be in chronic pain forever, it's very hard to kind of shift someone out of that mindset. So I guess you do have to use like words of affirmation when you're teaching to try and encourage people to kind of let all of that stuff go. It can be so hard. Like
our jobs are difficult.
Been in the habit of or constantly feeling like this and this is how my body is and it's never going to get better. And with those chronic conditions like fibromyalgia, which just so hard.
Well, chronic conditions like that they don't have a root cause.
Yeah.
Fibromyalgia usually comes from another incident. So it's a secondary disease rather than a primary disease.
And fatigue as well. Like that's kind of like what is going on?
And what else is related to that? And that goes back into that weaving and that unraveling. It's like you don't know. You have to just work one moment at a time. And people come in with good days and bad days and things like that. The other thing that I really encourage my clients to do, and I'm sure you are the same, is I don't provide the answer.
Yeah.
I provide or I facilitate a space for them to find the answers to themselves. I'll often say, like, how does that feel? Don't answer me. Feel it in yourself. Like, I don't need to know what you're feeling, but I do need you to feel it.
Yeah.
So the awareness of the body is critical. So when people do talk negatively about their bodies, I really try and eradicate that kind of language in my studio, because I don't believe there's anything wrong with the body. I believe there's wrong with how we treat it, move it, feel about it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so hard because as women especially, we're conditioned to think, skinny is best, and every image that you get of beauty is of like young women who, like, some of them are still teenagers. And it's, it's impossible to kind of get that look when you're in your 50s.
Or you can try, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, or the plastic surgery, I'm like, oh, there's no way I could do that.
Yeah, I believe my philosophy is like, it's such a privilege to grow old.
Yeah.
Why are we masking it?
Yeah.
Men get to grow old into their beautiful salt and pepper stages and their wrinkly eyes and whatever. And as soon as a woman gets a grey hair, you've got to go and dye that immediately.
Yeah.
Or, get a wrinkle, you're going to go and get Botox. Like, no, we're beautiful and we're nature.
Yeah.
And, if you look at a tree, this is a description I say all the time, is like, you plant a tree as a sapling. And it's young and it's fresh and it's sprouting and it's doing all those things. And then it goes through its maturing ages. And then eventually, this is hundreds and hundreds of years later, but it will go down. It will start to wither. It's had its season, but it had a purpose as well.
Yeah.
And when that purpose is fulfilled, so be it.
Yeah. Wow. That's actually really beautiful. You can think of like a tree, like, giving apples to people. So it's kind of like it's done all that. And you can think of, I feel like you're like an apple tree or something and giving apples to people, like bits of wisdom, helping people's bodies. It's quite beautiful.
The apple tree. I like that. Thanks.
Yeah. So you're a level 3 Franklin Method educator. And for those who've never heard of it, what exactly is the Franklin Method?
This is such a common question because there's not really a concise answer to what the Franklin Method is. It's really something that has to be experienced. A lot of people think that it's just another set of exercises or tools. So one of the most common things people will recognize with the Franklin Method is a ball. So a soft orange ball or a green ball.
Oh, yeah, the ones that like you can roll out with. And
correct.
They used to have the ones with the little suction caps. They were my favorite ones.
They are still made and they are still amazing balls.
Oh, good.
But it's just like with Pilates. Pilates is not the reformer. It is not the trap table. It is not the chair. It is a philosophy. It is a framework of how to move the body. So the Franklin Method is also a philosophy. And what it does is it connects how to use the mind to have a better experience in the body. And how we teach people that sort of psychology of it is we teach anatomy because we are all anatomy. So it's not an opinion of somebody. It's not, the founder of X. It is the biomechanics of the body, but how we interpret what we are doing and the information of like, do we actually know if this is true or not? Like one of the things we do in the Franklin Method is if you don't believe something I'm saying, like for example, the workshop I'm doing is on the shoulders. And I say, when your arm goes above you, your your upper arm is going to externally rotate. And you don't believe me.
Yeah.
I say, well, then let's do it the other way. So when you take your arm up, internally rotate your arm, and you will feel like, I actually can't do that because the body will resist it because it says that's not how I'm designed to move. But we can override that in, specifically in dance training and athletic sports. We can push so hard against the system that we then get injured.
Yeah.
Why did I get injured?
Well, there's a lot of dancers have so many injuries, like shoulder injuries, hip injuries. Most dancers need hip replacements as they age, like just because we've really pushed the joint into extremes. Sorry, how does imagery and embodied anatomy play a role in the Franklin Method?
Well, it is the Franklin Method. That's like the best description you could possibly have given it.
Oh, I see.
So imagery is a self-generated sensory experience that has a training effect.
Yeah.
It's a lot of words to say out loud, but I'm going to say that again. It is a self-generated. So you create the image.
Yeah.
Sensory experience, meaning there is vividness to it. So it could be color, it could be temperature, it could be texture. I said sensory experience with a training effect, which means when you put it into the brain, the nervous system is then going to go, we do a lot of comparison between left and rights.
Yeah.
So we'll do an exercise on the left side and then you're like, okay, how is that different to the right? And does your nervous system want to be more like the left side or like the right side? So you give the nervous system, the option is always going to be, I want to feel the best.
Yeah, very true.
So it will go with what the best feeling is. So that's the imagery side of it. And we call it dynamic neurocognitive imagery. Again, huge name for something that just literally means it's constantly changing. You have the ability to change that. And that's the power of the Franklin method is I don't have to walk around with a reformer on my back to do the Franklin method.
Yeah.
I have a brain. I take it everywhere I go, which means at any moment I can change what I'm doing.
And now a word from our sponsor, Taube Pilates. If you're interested in moving well and staying strong as you age, I've created an active aging ebook just for you. This 28-page guide is designed for adults 60 plus, Pilates clients focused on healthy aging, and Pilates teachers focused on working with older bodies. Inside, I share 8 essential exercises to support strength, confidence, balance, posture at any age. You can download it free in the link in the description. Move well, live strong.
It's really interesting because my dad, he had Parkinson's, and it was really hard for him to understand, movement quite often but if I had a visual image attached to it, like imagine you're pulling back the string of an archer's bow, then he knew exactly what that was because he had that visual image. So I felt like that his brain could really understand and grasp onto that imagery when it was declining in so many other ways. Or if you just demonstrated it, he would get very confused about which arm was doing what. And so,
well, you've just described something that we call a metaphorical image. So you take a borrowed experience from something that you already know and you put it into the experience you're having now. So it's very powerful. Most people, when they think of imagery, think of like, oh, fluffy clouds and I've got to be really elaborate. Yeah. It's not. It's that simple. Yeah. So I had a client once, a male client, and I say male because often they don't get this, right? The pelvic clock, when we're on our back and we've got to circle the hips, right? Yeah. For most people, that's challenging. I had a man, he could not figure out how to do it. And I just had to say to him, imagine you were hula hooping. And suddenly that pelvis just started like going around and around. But before that, when I was like, just make a circle. Just, can you feel these? I had my hands on his pelvis and he just couldn't get it.
Yeah.
He even said to me, I feel ridiculous. And then when I said, do you know what a hula hoop is? He was like, yes. And he just started to work it, which again then goes back to imagery is not about the fancy image I give you. It's, does it connect with you? Because I could give you 3 or 4 images and you might throw 3 of them away and go, actually, I really like that one. But to me, I didn't like the one that you chose.
Oh, yeah. I remember teaching some clients and I had an image of like, imagine 2 pieces of toast with butter on them and they're your shoulder blades and it's sliding down your back. And then they just said to me, oh, I just feel like having some toast with butter now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, and it's your shoulder blades sliding down your back.
Now, why did they want that? Can you see how then this becomes the sensory? So they were then triggered into, I can smell that toast. Yeah. I can see the butter. Yeah. I can remember a great time when I had a meal with that, or that reminds me of something else. Like, and that's what they then wanted. They probably would have moved their shoulders differently.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Rather than wanting a piece of toast, buttered toast. So now can the Franklin method be high intensity?
Absolutely not.
It can never be high intensity.
No, it is not a repertoire-based activity. It is not an exercise program. It is about your mind and body. And it can be put into every single aspect of your life. So not just movement, but into how you deal with stresses. Yeah. Or you have a situation. I had a student once who was going through a tough time with a friend who was dying, and she didn't know how to handle that.
Yeah.
And I just walked her through one of the processes. So instead of it applying to, oh, well, let's lift your shoulders up and down as an exercise, let's talk about what is your issue? Do you think you can change it? What are you going to do to change it? And then what is the outcome after it? We call it the 4-step process.
Is this part of the Franklin method as well?
Yeah.
Oh my, I didn't realize it sounds like psychology.
It is psychology because it's relating to the brain. And that's why I say you can put it into every aspect of life.
Whoa.
So if you were walking around and, we spoke about this, how people feel about their bodies.
Yeah.
If I keep giving my body the message that it's not good enough, that I don't like the layer of fat around me, that I'm comparing myself to the other person, or, that studio is doing better than my studio. That is the experience I have.
Yeah.
But if I change my mind and I say, isn't it amazing that there's another studio open so that other people can go there, and then that business or people that need that type of Pilates will be able to find a place because my book's actually full and I can't take more people. Or I love the fact that there's this layer of fat around me. It keeps me warm. It helps me communicate. Like the way we speak to ourselves again goes back into all of that. So,
and who would benefit most from the Franklin method?
Every person who has a brain.
Oh.
At the moment I've got, I'm going to use the word influence. I don't mean like I'm an influencer, but the people I know most and who are interested in the body are Pilates instructors.
Yeah.
So they're the people that come to my workshops. But there are times when I go to workshops that clients come.
Oh, wow.
And they're always scared, like, do I need to know anatomy because I know nothing? And I'm like, well, one, no, but you're going to learn anatomy. And isn't that great? Because this is our one-time vehicle.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we know how to move it, where it is, what it's made up of, well, what influences it to do things badly? And if we give people that tool, then we're going to eliminate a lot of people's jobs like chiropractors, osteopaths. No, I want those people. I still want those people in the world, right? But what we do is we remove the reliance on other people. So we stop outsourcing our need to change, and we can make the change internally.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I've had a really sore neck lately. I'm just thinking I really need to have this. That's what I'm hoping of.
I cannot wait for you to come to the workshop tomorrow. You're going to walk away without a sore neck.
It's going to be fantastic. So what are the key benefits people can expect physically, neurologically, and even emotionally from the Franklin method?
Oh, again, these are moments of crying, right? So I've cried through this work because the shift that happens and the appreciation and the gratitude that you can suddenly have for yourself. For me, it's as soon as you become aware of your body, change happens. You cannot have change if you don't know where you're at and what you're doing.
Yeah.
So no matter what your baseline is, you have to have the baseline so that as soon as we create one little tool of implementation, you notice if there's a difference or not. There was a girl I studied with when I first started doing my level 1 training, and she had been a dancer.
Yeah.
And she came to the course with chronic pain everywhere.
Oh my God.
And during the 4 months of our training, she completely changed her physiological body simply because she knew where to move from. So remember I said she was a dancer. So we always expect that dancers have an acute awareness of their body and know how to move it. But sometimes the cueing that we've been given, and this relates to Pilates as well, is it's been hand-me-downs.
Yeah.
So what worked for someone years ago doesn't necessarily work for us now because we have better information. So as soon as we have better information, we have to put that to the nervous system.
Yeah.
So this woman completely cured herself, I say that in inverted commas, of the chronic pain that she was having because she suddenly knew how to move better and think better.
Wow. I've heard that sometimes dancers can end up almost numbing parts of their, because they've worked so hard, they can almost be unaware of what injuries or tensions that they're holding in their body until their injury is quite shouting. So, yeah. Well, that's what I've heard. I don't know.
Yeah, I had a student who was also an ex-dancer who had nerve pain for, multiple years post her dance career. And we figured out, this was an emotional response for her. We figured out that every time we said, just relax your shoulders down, she went into a full depression of the scapula, which creates nerve tension here at the brachial plexus, which then triggered nerve pain down her arm. So she would be walking through life in this fully depressed scapula because in her teaching of being ballet dancer, they were always told arm up but shoulder down, and that is just so against what it is meant to be. But this is where these problems are arising.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with that. Like that depressed shoulder line, you just end up with such terrible shoulder problems because there's just things aren't in the correct alignment.
Well, if you were
structurally,
the way you're sitting right now, I would never give you the cue, put your shoulders down, because they're in the right position. They're perfectly balanced. But if you were sitting with your shoulders up here, I might say, hey, Louise, let's just think about melting those shoulders away or something. So, you've got to treat the body that's in front of you.
Yeah.
You cannot use just a stock standard cue.
Tell me about your Mentor Me program.
Oh, God.
Because I saw this on your website and I'm like, hang on, what is this? What is it? Tell me all about it.
This is the most exciting thing I think I've done in my career ever. So it is a space for Pilates practitioners. It doesn't matter whether you're newly qualified or you've been in the game for X amount of years. I call it like the staff room.
Yeah.
So I aimed at mostly, the gap I saw in the market was that a student goes through their teacher training program where they are fully supported.
Yeah.
They do all these hours. They have got, mentors going through the stuff with them.
Yeah.
They're apprentice teaching. They've been given clients. You've been told what to expect. You have a conversation with them afterward. And then they qualify and they go straight into working 20, 25 hours a week and no one talks to them again. They don't feel comfortable to ask a senior instructor about an issue. Somebody's shift is ending and they're like, sorry, I don't have time. I've got to go and do this.
Yeah.
And they just lose that dovetailing and nesting. And I was like, well, for a brand new instructor to start into a space where they're not getting that mentoringship, this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to help them grow continually from their training to the next level of their education or their experience. And then when I put it out as a thing, I didn't limit it to that. But what I found was the first people that actually started to subscribe were solo workers. So they may be having a studio at home or, they've got a studio somewhere rurally, so they don't have the contact with other people. It's enough of an income base to just have them working in the studio, but then no one else. So you go through this, and, I've been through this myself. You go through this phase of, oh my gosh, I'm the only person that's feeling overwhelmed or uninspired or don't know what to do with this person or how to write a referral letter or what do I do when someone has an incident in the room.
Yeah.
Because what you learn in theory versus what really happens in real life.
It's totally different, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's totally different.
So it's been going we're now into almost 5 years of it going.
Oh.
And, I still have some of the most amazing people with me from day one. In fact, at the Pilates Journal Expo, we came last year as a group. And then this year we've come again with even more people.
Oh, wow.
So it's just fascinating. We meet every Tuesday on a Zoom call, and it's evolved over time as well. When I first started it, I wasn't really sure what was going to happen, how people would accept it or not. And what I do now is I ask for their input, but I put a theme for every month of the year.
Yeah.
And then I put that out in January. And I'm like, these are the things we're going to be talking about for the year. I bring guest speakers on where need be. Every week we're talking. So, for example, this month of February is Men's Month. How do we work with them in a group environment? What are the common things that they have? As women, is it easy to approach a man and ask these kind of things? Because we're still meant to be the expert in the room, and some men are open to talking and some men aren't. So what we do is we delve into all of these things for the month so that you've got this complete feeling of, I asked that question or I told that story about that client or I want to know more about this. It's a very interactive space. I don't like to be authoritarian in it. I mean, obviously I do facilitate it, but I love the play of input, and there's a Facebook group and everybody asks a question and all the members answer, and I don't even have to answer. I just watch it all happen, so it's growing into this amazing community of supportive, collaborative, highly professional Pilates instructors.
Wow. It sounds fantastic. I mean, that's why we have these conferences. So you can actually have the opportunity to ask questions, to be around other Pilates people. I mean, that's why I really love something like what you do, because it also validates you as a Pilates instructor, especially because I work solo as well. And just to have other people to just bounce off. Like, it sounds fantastic.
It is. I always like to say, don't listen to me, listen to the members and what they say. Because if I could show you the Facebook group and how they literally love on each other, it's like, it just beams inside of me. I was in Colorado doing a cadaver dissection, which got really intense because it was getting to the end of it and it's a very emotional experience. And I just logged on to Facebook and I'm in the US.
Yeah.
And this group of people are here we go all over the place, but most of them are in Australia. And they were just loving on each other. One person just said, hey, how's your week going?
Yeah.
And the whole group just started sharing the whole of their week because we hadn't had a call because I was away.
Oh, wow.
And I just sat in this room on my own, just crying, watching the messages that were going back and forth. And I was part of that, like.
That's amazing. That's like a real, like you've had a baby, like, like that's so incredible.
I know.
Wow.
I haven't had a baby.
Well, it's like your baby is the mentor me.
Thank you so much for listening to Art of Pilates. I'm your host, Louise Taube, principal trainer as recognised with the PAA, studio owner and Pilates teacher. To stay connected, please subscribe to my mailing list via my website, taubepilates.com. And if you've loved this show, please give me a review. I'd love a Facebook review or a Google review. It really helps to support me and my business and this podcast. See you next time, and keep moving with intention.